Hello, people. Guess we're going to continue on the 30-minute missions theme this week. So today I have with us the Volpanova. This is the BEXM 33QB from 30-minute missions. It is in 1/44 scale. It does have a couple write-ups, so we're going to go ahead and read those. So first off, we have the write-up on the Volpanova, a transformable XMAX unit developed by the Bilan forces. 2 modes were initially planned, but as more complicated battle scenarios were envisaged, a third mode was added, which could be a transitional mode between the first two. The bazooka targets a wide area around shell impact, making it well suited to combat against multiple opponents. And the second write-up is about the quad version, which is this one. Vehicle mode allows for swift travel over land, excellent for transport and raiding enemy bases. Hybrid mode allows for versatile omnidirectional movement on land while providing support bazooka fire. It can shift into normal mode for urban warfare where speed is impeded by the terrain, and can generally transform to adapt to varying battle conditions. So I'll be the first to say that I was not too impressed by the height on this thing, but that is okay. It's not really known for its height, but for its maneuverability. That said, it's really cool. I really like the idea of a transforming mech. That's something that I always love. See my love for the Aasimar and for several of the other transforming units from Zeta Gundam. So this one being a land-based transformer is pretty cool. I really liked seeing it when it was coming out in the previews. Them showing this one and the other version that's going to be coming out. Well, it's out now, but it's going to be coming out here in the US soon, and I will be picking that one up, of course. I've been tempted to get more of these, but every time I go to a place that has them, they sell out. So it's one of those things. Might not be terribly difficult to find, but it is hard to find in stock. I will be looking around later for it, though, when I get the other version of this guy. So let's go ahead and get into articulation and seeing what this guy can do. Let me take his weapon out real quick, which is really easily done. It does have a round peg, which is very annoying to some people, and I can understand why. A round peg that moves inside of a, what's normally a rectangular position right there. It's not always the best, but for this one, I think it makes sense because you kind of have to maneuver it a little bit to the side, and the ball joint might not give you enough room to do that. So with the round peg, you can maneuver that a little bit easier and lock this one into place with the other arm. So we'll go ahead and do that for articulation first. The weapon has that point here and this point here, as well as this one that can rotate around here, which it's not really supposed to, but this one I don't think it was very solidly designed. You can see here it kind of wiggles about a bit. Some cement on these things will hold it a little bit firmer in place. Just cement this together, let it dry, then you should be able to use it a little bit easier. Same thing with this front section, cement that together and let it dry and then put it on. Moving on to the XMAX. So the head does rotate on this neck joint. It's the same neck joint as the original XMAX. So it is not the Spinario and Spinaria joint set. It is the one from the first XMAX. So you have the hard plastic instead of that nicer, softer one. That's kind of a mixed bag here. It's a little bit firmer. In my opinion, it does feel like it's pretty solid, but I can tell already that, you're going to have some flop in the legs if you play and pose with it a lot. Moving on to the shoulders, though, you have your armor set, which moves on those little pegs that go onto the arm pegs, and those right here can slide around that peg there and up and down on that set of articulation. The joint itself moves up and down like so. With the armor in place, it is limited to right about there. If you manipulate it a bit, you can get it a little bit higher. You get a point of rotation right here and 1 point of articulation here at the arm. And of course, our ball joint on the hand. I already mentioned that, but we'll do that again. The joint set up here is on the front of the, let's see, the front of the abdomen, just like the older sets. So you can rock that back and forth this way, as well as some up and down. Not much though. And if you do that a lot, it's actually going to separate the body parts here. The next set of articulation will be right here, and that goes into the hips here. And that is on a ball joint, so you get that same kind of ball joint articulation that you get on most of these guys. That said, you do get quite a lot of that crunch angle. Not too shabby. This goes here. The hips here, they have those armor guards like the Alto, Portanova, Cielnova, etc. So those can move up and down here. Those also joint onto the backpack, which is the legs or the wheel section. We're going to show those ones in a little bit. So we're going to skip down to the legs, which are, again, the basic Alto Portanova type. So they peg into the hips here, which have a drop down, which is very nice. And they are ball jointed into the upper leg here. And they can move all the way around on a pivot. You get the double jointed knee. The point of articulation at the leg up here. And a ball joint at the foot. So you get whatever you would like to use on that ball joint, as well as that point of articulation. Gets you a lot out of that foot, actually. Back up here. So on the hip, we'll start with this peg. This peg goes into the hip, like so. And so that's one point of articulation. You can rotate that around that way, as well as on that hip armor. You can move that up and down. Here you can rotate it again. It does have a nice solid feel on each one of these corners. And then up here, you also have a point of articulation. It's a C-clip here. There's another C-clip here that allows you to move that one up and down. And another right here, which allows you to move that one up and down. So you can move it quite a bit. And then each of these wheels does rotate. It is a lot tighter than I expected it to be, but that is something that, you might have expected. All right, so I'm going to do a size comparison shortly, but I want to show you guys what it comes with in the box before we do that. So you see everything that we have here. The bazooka weapon, really cool looking. I do want to fix these wobbles. Like you see, that's a little weird. But you also get all of these, which are one of the joint sets. I forget what the sprue was because I put it away already. But some of these are being used in the construction of that backpack unit. Well, I say backpack, but they're hip units. In any case, a couple of the 3x3s or the 3mm, 3mm peg that will help you combine some of your stuff, and the little armor carriers for the, I dropped it over here, for the feet on the Altos, Portanovas, Cielnovas, etc. So not a lot of extra on this one, but that's okay. Bringing on the size comparison, let's go ahead and start with the GBN base Gundam, and this is also in 1/44 scale. As you can see, he is a little bit shorter than the Gundam is. Here he is standing next to the Alto from the Earth Alliance forces in the 30-minute mission series. As you can see, he's just a hair shorter. I think the design factor on this one is a lot more utilitarian, and it actually resembles a bit like the Earth Alliance forces. Pretty interesting. Here he is standing next to Jinrai from the Frame Arms series. This one is a 1/100 scale model. And standing next to a Frame Arms girl in roughly 1/12 scale, this is Architect. Standing next to the Hexagear Governor, Nero, and this guy is in 1/24 scale. Here he is standing besides the Master Grade Alex Gundam. in 1/100 scale, always the largest in my bunch. Now I'm going to go ahead and see about transitioning him to each of his different modes. I will try to record that and see how that looks on camera. I hope you enjoy. All right, so it's not at all as entailed as I thought it would be. Basically, you're just folding the legs up and under him and clicking them into place on his backpack, which is, I mean, as simple as it gets. That's pretty cool. This is the hybrid mode, and so it seems like he's just eager to get on the field. He just folds those things back underneath him and his legs upward, and he can roll around the battlefield on what looks like oversized roller skates, which is pretty cool. I've seen customs where they actually use them on his feet, but the only thing I don't like about it is how silly he looks with those legs back there. But that is how it looks, so it's one of those things. So I'm going to go ahead and change it into vehicle mode now, and we'll see how that looks. That one entails a little bit more locking things into place, so let's see how that goes. All right, and it does look a little silly. I will admit that. That's one of the first things I said when I finished. I'm like, that looks a little goofy, but why not? I mean, you just fold everything up and you just get going. Like that's all you really need. There isn't any reason why it needs to stay in a mecha form if you're already got a place to shoot. You know, that still works. So while I'm not 100% on this one, it is still pretty interesting, very unique. I think if I bothered to straighten everything out the way you're supposed to, it would look a little bit, you know, not as off-kilter. Like you see my hands are a little drifting. The legs are not as straight as they need to be. But still, everything works. It puts in place. You have lots of hard points to mount more weaponry. You can even use that to have your 30-minute sister to ride on. I think I would just rather use the the wheel portions as like rollerblades, something like that. But it is something I've seen, so that's pretty cool there. I think it's an interesting attempt at a transformer. There are uglier versions that have come out, not in terms of transformers, but in terms of transforming mecha, that don't function as well as this one did. So I mean, at least you could tell this one is something that, you know, looks like a little quad. The backside, maybe not so much. I don't know if I would expose the joints like that if this was me, but if it's in a hasty retreat, maybe that makes sense, or to get to deployment right away, you know, get them out there. My thoughts on whether you should get this or not, it's a maybe. It's not the prettiest, either in mecha mode or in wheelie mode here. So I do get the feeling that some people have been saying, which is, you know, I don't really love it. I still do. I think it's really cute. I think it's fun. I'm staggered to see that, you know, it was an attempt, you know? What can I say except for that? It's not beautiful. It's definitely not beautiful. And I'm not 100%, this is my favorite, you know? This isn't something that I'm going to replace the Maxion with. They still have it in terms of look. But really, it's a pretty fun one. And I think with some real heavy customization, you can get something beautiful with this one. So hopefully you guys give it a chance. It was a little on the high end. I think it was $22 versus some of the other stuff, which is considerably less than that. So they have been creeping up in prices, but it's not out of the realm of, hey, you know, it's $17 now and this one's $22. You know, it comes with a little bit extra with those wheels. You can call that an option pack for $5, you know. So 17 plus another 5. I think it's worth it. You know, it's worth it. The tank one though, I'm thinking that one's going to be a winner. Hopefully it looks a little bit neater than this. I have seen pictures of it. It does look a little neater than that, at least. We'll see how it goes. I am really hoping that that one's going to sell. But that is going to be it for this review. I hope you like it. If you did like it, please let me know in the comments. If it's something that you think you're going to get, again, tell me in the comments. If it's something you think is horrible, like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever, and I can kind of understand that. Look at him. He's just like somebody curled him up in a ball and just threw him down the road. I can see it. But yeah, let me know in the comments. And if you don't want to let me know in the comments, that's okay too. Just keep watching my stuff. I really appreciate every person that does. But that'll be it for this time. I will see you guys next time, or you'll see me, but more than likely you'll see my weirdo stuff. Bye-bye.